Davis. I am a nutritionist and I specialise in digestive health for busy women. So I help busy women fix their IBS symptoms, their bloating, and any symptoms that kind of go along with that and really get in the way of you living your best life. And I do this with state-of-the-art testing and supplements, lifestyle upgrades, etc., to really nicely bring things back into balance for you and help you nail all those terrible, debilitating symptoms. So today I was going to look at IBS. So what actually is IBS? Why have you got these symptoms? What's going on there? What's causing them? And then more importantly, what you can do to nail it, which can sometimes be quite straightforward once you've established why it is that you've got these symptoms, what's given rise to it. Because it's really important to remember that with IBS, it's a very unique situation to each individual. So each individual's reasons for having IBS is going to be distinct from the next person. So there can be different reasons why you have it, which is why it can be tricky to nail those symptoms with a kind of one size fits all medication, which quite often people have tried when I speak to them, and maybe it's worked for a little while, but then the symptoms come back again. Maybe it hasn't worked at all. Sometimes it may have made it worse. So it's really important to kind of get to the bottom of those symptoms, why you've got them, etc. Because these symptoms can be really, really disruptive, as I say, and really get in the way of life and enjoyment of life. So let's just do a quick run through first then of some of the main reasons that you may have these symptoms. Well, first of all, you may have an imbalance in your digestive system, or the bacteria that live in your digestive system. Now, just to make things simple, I'll just refer to good and bad bacteria, but they're not really good and bad. We need both, and we're always kind of looking at the relative abundance you've got going on in there. So typically we want more of some of them we want more of, and some of them we want less of, and they need to be held in this nice healthy balance, really. Because if they start to get out of kilter, then that's when you can start to see problems. So this can arise, for example, if you have a history of taking antibiotic medication, anti-inflammatories, contraceptive pill, things like that can really, your bacteria levels can really take a hit. And also, if you've been eating lots of sugar or alcohol or white food, so that very fast releasing carbohydrate is what the less beneficial species and yeasts and even parasites tend to prefer to eat. They can also make you crave that as well. So there's a double whammy going on in there. It can turn into a bit of a battle. So if you have been, if you've got a history like that, which most of us have, to be honest, then that can give rise to some bacteria that can potentially cause some of those nasty symptoms. So the best way to know if that's going on for you is to have a very straightforward stool test. It can establish what's happening in there, what different levels of bacteria you've got going on, if you've got inflammation, that kind of thing, which could be causing these nasty symptoms. For people who suffer with IBS is that they have a disrupted second brain, what we call the second brain, which is the enteric nervous system. So the enteric nervous system is your digestive system's nervous system, and it is super sensitive and super powerful. So it's thought to have more, nerve endings than the rest of your nervous system put together. So it really is very, very kind of influential in what's happening with your digestive system. So that's why it's really important, if you are someone who tends to suffer with this kind of thing, that you get your anxiety under control, your worry under control, because your gut and your brain are always speaking to each other. So what's going on in your brain is always going to be impacted in your gut, which is why you get feelings like butterflies if you're nervous, for example. So it's a powerful thing, and it's thought that people who have IBS tend to have a very sensitive second brain, so a very sensitive enteric nervous system, and this can cause a lot of problems for you. It can be the initial problem, which has given rise to further problems, say inflammation or too much or an imbalance of your bacteria there. So there can be more than one thing going on, and there usually is. So that's really important. So if you are prone to anxiety, nervousness, or any of those kind of things, then meditation is brilliant. Yoga, journaling, exercise, any kind of exercise is really beneficial for your mental health. And of course, certain dietary changes, supplements, etc. You may have, I don't know, for example, an intolerance to gluten that can aggravate these mental health symptoms as well. So there again, you can see it's going to be unique to everybody, and what suits one person isn't going to suit the next. So yeah, really get a handle on the kind of the relaxation, if you like, and getting rid of all these negative thoughts. You quite often see IBS symptoms in people who have had previous life trauma or traumatic childhoods, etc. So if that applies to you, then absolutely very important to get, counselling, etc., to really help you process that, and that should have a positive impact on your gut health as well. So the next big area to look at is food sensitivity. To take out foods from their diet. A typical pattern would be taking foods from the diet, and then again that can have a positive impact for a couple of weeks, and then it can go back to normal again, so you get all the symptoms recurring again. So they'll try and take another food out, and before you know where you are, you're eating a very, very narrow range of safe foods. So this, apart from being not great for you because you're not getting a wide range of nutrients on board, it's also, a source of anxiety itself. So you can end up feeling anxious because, you can't go out to eat with your friends because there may not be your safe foods on offer. You can't go on holiday because you can't get your safe food. So that in itself gives you a whole gamut of additional problems. It's not ideal, it's not good for you, and it's often not the cause either, or it can be playing a part, but it's often not the biggest part. But one kind of dietary change people do make is to kind of eliminate FODMAPs. You've probably heard of FODMAPs, and these are just really kind of quite hard to digest carbohydrates, so they can cause one or two problems in your gut. But the trouble is with FODMAPs is they are prolific, they're everywhere, they're in all sorts of really healthy foods as well, so you really don't want to be taking FODMAPs out of your diet for too long, because they are an important part of your diet. So really we tend to use the FODMAP diet only temporarily, because it can be useful to temporarily alleviate symptoms, or just to give your gut a bit of a rest while it heals itself. That would be the best approach to use with the FODMAP diet, and then gradually kind of reintroduce foods which we can then test to see if the gut's healed. So I have got a recipe collection, actually. I shall put a link to it in the comments, and download that. It's a gluten, dairy free, low FODMAP, etc. A lot of recipes there which can really help you with your gut healing, so do download that if you think it would be helpful to you. So just to recap then, it's helpful if you're getting these symptoms to really check what's happening with your bacteria, and we can do that with gut testing, so do get in touch if you're interested to hear more about that. It's important to look for the presence of any parasites as well, which may be causing you problems. Ditto yeast can be causing you problems, and then really getting a handle on that mindset as well to really help to calm your system down. So that's it for today. If you would like to speak to me, as I say, I will put a link to my diary in the comments, so do book yourself in if you want to discuss anything. And please like and share this video if you think other people may find it useful. Okay, I shall see you next time. Bye.